Two more questions, investigator. You mentioned earlier that you attended the forensic interview of the victim in the case, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall, as you were observing her, what was her demeanor like during that interview?
She's very soft spoken, but she was able to articulate everything that was being said.
Now, Sergeant, in your training and experience, how likely are you to find DNA medical evidence even within 120 hours?
There's speculation.
Sustained.
Investigator, when might physical evidence go away?
Myriad of reasons. In this case, DNA can be washed away. It can just be enough time has passed and it goes away. Just depends on the type of evidence that you're looking at.
So the question was on your own pencil, wasn't it?
Defense.
Good morning, Detective Trevino. Clarissa Herrera gave you my client's address, correct?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
I'm sorry, Clarissa is the mom?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so she gave you his address and he's lived there his entire life, correct?
Objection or speculation?
Overruled.
I'm not sure. I was told that he'd been there since for a while. Yes.
Okay, and she also told you where he worked, correct?
I don't recall.
And did you ever confirm that the phone number Clarissa gave you was actually his phone number?
It was the same number that CPS had.
Okay,
So yes, it was this, and they were able to make contact with her alleged suspect.
they were able to make contact with Alex because they went out to the home, correct?
Speculation.
All right, the speculation objection will be sustained.
Do you know if they went out to the home
Yes.
and they interviewed all 4 children that resided with Alex, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation calls for hearsay as well.
That will be overruled. That's a yes or no question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Interviewed all 4 children that lived with Alex, correct?
I'm not sure.
And isn't it true that you never interviewed Lisette, who lived with Alex?
Correct.
And you never interviewed those 4 children that lived with Alex?
Correct.
And you never interviewed any of Alex's family members that lived with Alex during this alleged abuse time?
Correct.
And you are aware that CPS conducted an investigation for this claim, yes?
Correct.
And you spoke to the investigator. Do you remember her name?
Miss Marianne Thiemann.
Okay, is that just because you read the report, or do you remember her name?
No, I remember her name
Okay,
from reading the report.
okay. And CPS routinely documents their findings and their questions and their answers, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation outside the scope of knowledge.
Overruled.
To my understanding, yes, they do.
Okay. And you can request those CPS records just like I did, correct?
Correct.
Did you in fact request those CPS records and the interviews and the recordings?
No.
And that wouldn't have taken you very long to request those, correct?
They were still inside their investigation, so their report wasn't available yet.
Okay, but you concluded your investigation January of 2023, 4 months later. Isn't that true?
Correct.
Okay, so by that point, CPS had already concluded their investigation, correct?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Correct.
And nothing stops you from supplementing your investigation.
Correct.
Did you ever request the thousands of pages of CPS history on Clarissa Herrera?
No.
Did you ever request the hundreds of pages of CPS history on Roy Herrera?
No.
When did you submit this case to the Bexar County District Attorney's Office?
I'm not sure. I don't have it in front.
Well, you concluded your investigation January 13th of 2023. How much later after that do you typically send cases over?
Not sure. It just depends on the case, where it falls in line.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I turn them in at different times. We constantly get cases like I told prosecution. I did a lot of investigations, so there was no set time, especially on a delayed outcry. So, well,
So you prioritize other cases versus cases such as these?
Should I just check the sheet?
Overruled.
there is kind of all right, an arrest record, an arrest case. Then where there is physical evidence, where there is witnesses, where there is probable cause, and arrest has been made, those take precedence, so we have to finish those investigations. The at large, which is where there's no arrest done right then and there, there's no time limit on, there's no time hack on those, on when then we can finish those investigations, so they don't take precedence over our arrest cases.
And so when you submitted it to the district attorney's office, you submitted it to the district attorney's office and it lingered there for a few years?
Yes.
There'd be speculation outside the scope, his knowledge.
All right, if you know, you can answer the question.
Yes, I'm
Did it take
it's
you?
years later now.
Okay, did it take you 3 years to submit your report to the DA's office?
No.
Okay. Did you review the body camera footage from the initial officer or deputy?
No, it's just for his report about the outcry.
Okay, so you never compared the story Clarissa gave him to the story she gave you? So you have no idea, you're unaware of any inconsistency?
Just what was on Deputy Severo's report.
And you would agree, having reviewed his report and then having interviewed Clarissa, there were inconsistencies between the two?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't have this report in front of me and compare them right now.
Did you review the video recording of Clarissa's interview with you
Yes.
before coming here today?
No, not the video, just the report that was made.
So, do you think it's important to my client and to Emily that you testify on a basis that you have knowledge of?
Yes.
Okay. If you were to do it over again, would you have watched that interview of Clarissa before you came and testified?
Sure.
No?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you watch footage of when my client was arrested years later?
No.
You cited in your report that Emily was seeing a therapist.
Yes.
Did you speak to the therapist?
No, well, I just received word that she was maintaining her outcry and being consistent. They didn't give me a report or anything like that.
Okay. By being consistent, that's your version, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so she was seeing a therapist, from Child Safe, right?
Correct.
All right. And this is a free service that's offered to victims, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you could easily request the records from the therapist and from Child Safe, just like I do, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't do that in this case.
Not before.
And, well, you never did.
No.
And you certainly never compared the therapist notes to what she outcried to at Child Safe, right?
Just that they were consistent from what I heard from the therapist.
So you did talk to the therapist.
I received word from the Child Safe facility that she was maintaining her outcry from her therapist. Whether I talked to the therapist directly I don't think so.
Okay, so you heard from a person who heard from a person that she was maintaining her outcry.
probably a supervisor, if I didn't talk to the therapist directly,
But you don't know the details of what she was maintaining.
just of the sexual abuse.
Now, with regard to the school, did you speak to the school counselor that she outcried to?
No,
Did you ever try and reach out to the counselor?
no. Report was made by mom.
The report was made by mom, but the initial outcry was from the school.
Correct. She was never identified in the report.
Okay. Did you know where she went to school?
Yes,
Okay. And she told the child safe interviewer where she went to school and what classes she was in, right?
I don't know.
Overruled.
I don't recall.
That information could have been easily obtained, yes.
Yes,
And just like I did, you could have gone to the school and requested the records, yes?
I could have talked to the counselor.
And you could have requested her records, her grades,
Yes,
and any notes that the counselor may have taken.
yes,
And you never spoke to any of Emily's teachers, correct?
correct,
And you never spoke to the principal?
correct,
And you never spoke to any of her friends,
correct,
including the friend that tried to get her to come out and say something happened.
correct.
Do you even have their names?
No,
And you never spoke to any neighbors, correct?
correct,
And you never spoke to family friends?
correct,
And you certainly never spoke to my client's family.
correct.
And to summarize, there's not one piece of physical evidence to corroborate Emily's testimony.
Correct,
So no DNA,
correct,
no eyewitness,
correct.
no signs of trauma.
You know, to be outside the scope of not.
Sustained.
Did you ask if there was signs of trauma?
Yes. Well,
And so did you request for medical records like I did?
no,
Did you request Alex's medical record like I did?
no,
And you don't know if there were any other witnesses to this, correct?
Victor has been asking us.
Overruled.
You don't know if there's any other witnesses to this, correct?
the victim never said there were any witnesses.
And in your years of experiences, victims don't lie.
No, sometimes they do.
And so you didn't investigate as thoroughly as you could have, correct?
Debatable, but,
That's debatable.
well, I mean, you're saying that I didn't, but
I'm asking you, do you think you did a good job of investigating this case?
did what I could.
And that's not the same thing, right? Now, to this day, have you ever spoken to Emily?
No,
In your report, do you have it before you?
no,
Okay. Do you recall citing differences between what Emily said and what her mom said happened?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
can you repeat the question, please?
Did you ever cite in your report the differences between what the child said at child safe and what her mom said?
So,
That's either yes or no.
no,
And then you didn't cite in your report what the differences between what she told child safe and what she told the district attorney's office years ago.
Objection, recalls for hearsay.
Overruled.
no,
And have you been made aware that since this trial started, she's changed her story again?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
When you met with Clarissa, was Roy present?
no,
Do you think, based on your experience, does a 17-year-old know the anatomy of a man?
Your Honor, speculation.
Overruled.
Would a 17-year-old know the anatomy of a man?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Overruled.
Just depends on their experience.
Based on your interaction or suppose your observation of Emily, did she know what the anatomy of a man looks like?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation and outside scope.
Overruled.
Yes.
Now, you talked about not going inside of my client's home because there was no more evidence to be found, but you don't know that, correct?
I mean, no DNA evidence is what my exact words were.
Okay, but you don't know that for a fact, correct?
Well, yeah, the fact is that DNA evidence doesn't come out after 120 hours.
That's inside of a person's body, but let's say a blanket that was used repeatedly in an alleged sexual assault.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Speculation.
Sustained.
Do you recall, Emily stating that Alex would use a blanket to clean her off? Do you recall that?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
Do you not think it's important to gather physical evidence that may contain DNA?
Yes.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. And in this case, you have no idea if that blanket was washed or not washed, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Overruled.
No.
Have you ever been inside a home where things are dirty and haven't been washed in a long, long time, or ever?
Yes.
And you ever been inside a hoarder's home?
Yes.
Now, let me also ask you this. You could have gone inside the home and taken photographs of the room, correct?
With the search warrant, yes.
Well, if you had gone, maybe my client would have let you in.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
There's no question.
Uh,
Well, it's okay.
I'll withdraw that.
All right.
CPS went inside his home, correct?
Objection, speculation, Your Honor.
Oh, that'll be overruled.
CPS went inside his home, correct?
I wasn't a part of the CPS investigation.
Okay, but you wrote down what they relayed to you, that's part of your report.
So I don't know if they met in person at his house. I don't know if they met at the CPS office. So I'm not sure where the interviews were done.
You never asked Emily for her cell phone, right?
No.
And you are capable of taking a cell phone and extracting the data in the cell phone, correct?
Yes.
Same thing with Clarissa, you never took her phone or extracted the data in her phone.
Correct.
So did they ever offer to give you text messages?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
Did you ever ask them for any incriminating messages between Alex and Emily or Alex and Clarissa?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
You wrote in your report that there were no current custody orders. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you do a search to see if that was in fact true?
No.
And you just took Clarissa's word for it, is that right?
Yes.
So were you made aware her rights were terminated from that moment?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Sustained. Sustained as to hearsay.
No one, including you, has asked Emily if she was forced to make this outcry.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, just add the question.
No one, including you, has asked Emily if she was forced to make this outcry, correct?
Correct.
And you talked about DNA evidence in 120 hours. That's DNA evidence within the body, is that right?
It can be anywhere.
So the sheriff's office,
Clothing, body, it's DNA evidence can be gathered within the body within 120 hours.
right,
Right.
but outside the body, it stays forever.
Objection or speculation?
The objection as to speculation, that will be overruled.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, DNA can be found on a corpse, on a cold case, and then it can be mashed years
Objection,
later, right?
Speculation and outside the scope.
Sustain as to outside the scope.
DNA on an item does not wash away after 120 hours, correct?
Objection or speculation outside the scope.
Outside the scope of,
Outside the scope of this witness's knowledge.
all right, that will be sustained unless there's a foundation laid.
You testified previously that you know that DNA evidence cannot be found outside of that 120 window. Is that right?
Correct.
And you're not a scientist, you're not a doctor, correct?
Correct.
You're not a SANE nurse.
Correct.
And so your policy is a policy that was founded by SANE nurses who conduct internal inspections of victims of the body.
I'm not sure who wrote up our policy.
So if you're saying it is the policy of the sheriff's department and sheriff's office that DNA past 120 hours will not be collected. Anyway,
Same exam would not be conducted after 120 hours.
I'm not talking about a SANE exam, I'm talking about DNA, seminal fluid on an object.
That's inaccurate.
Okay, so after 120 hours, you could still collect it and find DNA.
Correct.
Okay, so for example, on a blanket, it could have been collected, it could have been tested.
Objection or speculation.
Overruled.
Yes.
That's what.
Have a three on the chart.
Yes.
A few brief questions here. So did you have any reason to want to conduct an interview of Ms. Rodriguez's teacher?
No, at that point, it's basically, it was a bare minimum. She made an outcry of sexual abuse, no details.
Did you have any reasons to want to interview any of her teachers that she's had throughout her academic career?
No, from my understanding, she had straight A's, was a model student from what was told to me by the mom.
Do you have any reasons to want to conduct an interview of the principal of the school that she attended at potentially the
No,
Did you have any reasons to want to interview all of her friends at the school?
No.
Did you have any reasons to want to interview any of the neighbors at either her residence or the defendant's residence?
No.
Okay. Now, you were asked a lot of questions about being able to gather evidence in 120 minutes time frame. So is it possible or is it expected that you're going to find evidence after that time frame, DNA evidence after the 120 hours has expired?
it's possible, not expected.
And again, why is it not expected?
In this case, it's years after the fact. I'm pretty sure they'd like to do laundry.
So the blanket that defense counsel asked about could have been washed at any point during the years after the abuse stopped.
Yes,
Anything that could have had DNA evidence could have been cleaned during the time from when the abuse ended to the time the outcry was made, correct?
correct.
Includes clothing, right?
Yes.
Pass it, Ms. Ron.
Any questions?
Yes, so you could have asked Emily's teacher if she's known to lie.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
You could have asked her that, right?
Correct.
You could have asked her friends, her principals, everybody else if she's a known liar.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
Correct.
And you were aware that she was also not mentally well, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, outside the scope of his knowledge.
Overruled.
You talked to her therapist, you didn't, and they reported she was suicidal, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay outside. the scope of his
Sustained. As to hearsay.
Were you aware that she was suicidal?
No.
Absolutely.
knowledge. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes,
By the state, yes.
by defense.
All right, thank you. If you'll remove the microphone, please. State, call your next witness.
No, this